Welcome to Tech Talk. My name is Nana Louise Linde. I'm Vice President for European Government Affairs at Microsoft. I'm here today with my guest, Justin Spelhaug, President of Microsoft Elevate. Welcome to Tech Talk, Justin.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So earlier this year, Microsoft has launched Microsoft Elevate, an organization that you are leading.
That's right.
And that has the mission to skill people all over the world to take advantage of AI. What is Elevate? Why was it created? Can you tell us a bit more?
Well, I'd love to. AI, as you know, is transforming kind of every facet of how we learn, how we work, even how we play. But we need to take a whole of systems approach, a systematic approach to ensuring that people are ready to take advantage of AI and find a way to use that to create economic opportunities for their families, for their communities, for their countries. And so Elevate is all about this systems level approach, starting with education and ensuring that in the K-12 education system, that teachers are equipped with the tools that they need to advance learning outcomes for students, that students are appropriately and safely using AI, which can be one of the most powerful tutors in the world, but we also need to ensure have the right guardrails to advance educational outcomes. It's about then extending that to workforce and ensuring that those that go through the education system are getting the right skills to enter the workforce, and we're retraining and enabling the workforce with AI skills so that they can map to the jobs of the future and the opportunities of the future. And then finally, it's about nonprofits and ensuring that those organizations that are really the safety net of society are equipped with the right tools and skills as well so they can support the communities that have the greatest need. And it's by combining all three of these approaches that allows us to build a system that can narrow the digital divide, that can widen the circle of opportunity for individuals to make the most of the AI economy that we're all moving into.
Can you share some of the trends that you're seeing and maybe, how you give some advice to European governments? How should they be thinking about some of these trends?
It's a fascinating topic, and I'd first say that we're learning each and every day here. So nothing that I'll say is, definitive. But I think one trend is, rightly, there is a lot of fear in the market around the role that AI may play in displacing jobs, automating jobs, is the language, people losing work. But that's not actually matching up with what science is telling us at the moment. And so we've had in the last 48 hours a series of conversations with ILO as an example, and think tanks as well, to understand what's really happening in the marketplace. And what we're seeing is a widespread augmentation of work and a transformation of work, but not necessarily a displacement. And that's driven by two core factors. One factor is that a couple years back, when initial projections were built in 2023, there was perhaps an overestimation of what generative AI could do and how fast it could do it. No doubt AI will transform how we all work over time, but the rate of that transformation was perhaps overestimated. The second aspect is that the complexity of work, which was kind of deduced to a bundle of skills within a particular function, was oversimplified. Work is really done in a complex process, oftentimes within a complex organization with humans that are unpredictable. And that's why if you take a function like an administrative support assistant, right, where you would say that the work may be more highly clerical, maybe more routine in certain ways, and you may think of that job as a job that could be automated by AI. But the reality is an administrative assistant, if you've ever met one, between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. has 3 different fires that they're responding to that have complex connections throughout an organization. And so we're learning now that this is these systems-wide approaches is a frame by which we need to think about how AI will transform work. And now, really, the focus is how do we ensure that transformation is not just a displacement of work, but it's increasing economic impact and vitality and output of that work. And that's where all of the current research is trained, and that is what we're focused on, so that we can sit down with governments, with companies, and with communities and advise them on the right interventions and the right steps to take to ensure workers are prepared in a way that generates higher degrees of economic output for everybody, including the workers and their own salaries.
I love that you are having now these insights, because then you can better also understand, how you and your organization can tackle some of the trends that we are seeing that are actually fact-based.
That's right. And as we think about setting policy, we need to root that on real data and real science and good thinking, so that we can advise from a place of knowledge and not necessarily a place of fear or misplaced optimism, right? And that's what we're trying to center up on.
So can you share maybe some concrete examples of what Elevate and your team is doing, something that your team is proud of, or?
There's so many different projects that we have, 21 countries where we're partnering around Europe and around the world. But some of the projects that I'm most proud of are in Germany, in North Rhine-Westphalia, where we're equipping 200,000 teachers with the skills they need to really incorporate AI in a meaningful way into their classroom, leveraging an AI framework that was actually based and built by the European Commission and OECD together. We've collaborated on that framework, which really is our guide star for how we equip teachers with the skills that are needed. There's some amazing work going on in Poland, where we've uploaded content to their e-learning platform that over 500,000 teachers are accessing and getting skills to. And some great work going on in Spain as well. But notice the core here is centering in education on the teacher, and first focusing on equipping them with the tools to really bring AI into the classroom in a way that's going to map to the pedagogy, in a way that's going to map to the outcomes that they want to generate, as our focus at the moment.
And then looking ahead, what are the next priorities for Microsoft Elevate in Europe? How will our work contribute to the EU's digital decade and support the workforce skilling?
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety about the skills gap that would develop. What do we have in the pipeline?
Well, I think a researcher today said this quote, which was, "The future of work doesn't exist. We need to invent it." And I think it's true. I think this idea is true, which is we first need to ground ourselves in the reality of how jobs are transforming through understanding the mechanisms that I've described. And we need to be designing the right interventions for school systems, from K-12 all the way to higher education, to ensure that every student that graduates is equipped with a fundamental understanding of how AI operates, how they can use AI, and how they can judge the outputs and use it in a way that advances their work. We need to take it to workforce systems, because there's plenty of labor in the marketplace, going back to that administrative assistant, that needs to learn how to use these tools in a way that creates an economic advantage for the company and organizations that they work in. And we'll be focused on that. And then, as I said, we need to ensure that nonprofits on the front line of our communities are equipped with actually the technology they need, and then the skills they need to support many of the folks in the community. And that will be our focus, of starting with research, working across those three segments. And then everything that we do has to generate scale. And scale can only be generated through close partnership with government, which is why our partnership and the partnership with governments around the world is so critical in forming these public-private partnerships, bringing other actors to the table based on science and great frameworks like the AI literacy framework, and then working to scale these things together in countries around Europe and, frankly, the world.
Thank you very much for being here today, Justin. Thank you for everything that your team is doing to narrow the digital divide and to make sure that the benefits of AI are reaching everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.